Welcome, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to look into a Victorian poem, Ulysses by Lord Alfred Tennyson. Literature, most generically, is any body of written works. Most restrictively, literature refers to writing considered to be an art form, or any single writing deemed to have artistic or intellectual value, often due to deploying languages in ways that differ from ordinary usage. Its Latin root, literatura, derived itself from litera, letter or handwriting, was used to refer to all written accounts. The concept has changed meaning over time to include texts that are spoken or sung, oral literature, and non-written verbal art forms. Developments in print technology has allowed an ever-growing distribution and proliferation of written works, culminating in electronic literature. Literature is classified according to whether it is fiction or non-fiction and whether it is poetry or prose. It can further distinguished according to major forms such as novel, short story or drama, and works are often categorized according to historical periods or their adherence to certain aesthetic features or expectations or genre. So today in the poem Ulysses, we are going to see how a poem is being made a masterpiece. Ulysses, also known as Odysseus, was the king of Ithaca, as we all know. If we can recall, Odysseus, also known as the Greek myth Odysseus, is found in Homer's Odyssey and Iliad. Ulysses, also known as Odysseus, was a king of Ithaca who participated in the Greek war against Troy. After the siege of Troy, he was returning home along with a number of soldiers. In the process, angered Poseidon, who in turn caused tempest and obstructions that forced Ulysses to wander to many places. His wife Penelope and son Telemachus were anxiously waiting for his arrival. This poem tells us that Ulysses is in Ithaca. In spite of being so close to his home, he is not happy. His wanderings has been quite fruitful as he came into contact with the people of different countries from whom he gathered a lot of knowledge. He has now a feeling that he should continue his pursuit of knowledge. This love for knowledge in a king who has suffered a lot not only makes the character of Ulysses distinguished, it gives a philosophical edge to the poet. Published in 1842 and written in 1833, soon after Tennyson's friend Arthur Hallam died. He wrote in his memoirs, Ulysses was written soon after Arthur Hallam's death and gave my feeling about the need of going forward and braving the struggle of life. He was deeply shocked to hear his friend's death, and in his daily life he suffered a lot. But he chose to move on. He chose to fight back. He didn't let sadness and melancholy to get hold of him. He had positive motivation to go on, to respect his friends' memories and to cherish them. Death closes all is a quote that Tennyson chose not to allow to bring him down and set him back in life. In reading the poem, one of the main take home messages is to strive to move onward and upward in life despite the situations around you. Like other authors, Tennyson was inspired by drawing from other authors to refine his own vision. So, we are going to see how the poem goes on. Tennyson sees in Ulysses the prototype of modern researchers or explorer. The scientific developments of his time in the Victorian era were a thing of serious interest to him, and in his poetry he addresses them, who were expanding the area of human knowledge. In Ulysses, Tennyson sees a figure who is willing to devote his life to exploration, exploring the theme of the Tennyson's work are of immense interest. My observation on this poem is that it is an antithesis of the Lotus Eaters of the same poet. Lord Alfred Tennyson, Ulysses can be called a very good example of a dramatic monologue. What is a dramatic monologue, you'd say? Dramatic monologue means a single imaginary or historical personage who is venting his thoughts and feelings. He expresses his mind to an imaginary silent audience. Here, the audience is us, but in reality, it is the people of Ithaca and his soldiers. In this kind of poetry, a single speaker, who is apparently not the poet, utters the entire poem in a specific situation at a critical moment. Monologues lack action and dialogues. The poem's abrupt line endings gives it a natural flow, and it is not in rhyme, that is, a blank verse. Ulysses delivers a lengthy speech explaining his feelings, actions, motives, and future plan. The monologue starts with a cynical approach towards life. Ulysses is not satisfied with his present condition, as his life in Ithaca is always stable. He seeks adventure and war. He is renowned for his heroic deeds, but slowly people are forgetting about his heroic mold. His subjects are living a life unfit for a warrior race. They are engaging in hoarding and avarice. Ulysses is a philosopher and an intelligent person and is fed up with the materialistic life which is stagnant and ever stagnant. He questions himself. Who am I now? He is suffering from identity crisis. He understands that death is approaching and in 1 or 2 years he might die. Therefore, he wants to utilize every hour that he is left with. He will not die a cowardice death, but will pursue virtue, knowledge, and adventure. This poem is a good example of how we should never stop the quest for knowledge, cause it is ever ending. Ulysses passes on his kingdom to his son Telemachus, who has not experienced war but is proficient in maintaining the kingdom's stability. Telemachus, who is the son of Ulysses, has grown up in a very different environment. He is not a warrior, he is actually a politician in today's terms. He knows more about the working of the government and people. Ulysses is a man who protects his country and fights for it with his blood. But Telemachus is a cold minded and a political minded person. So we are seeing that he is handing over his kingdom to his son and wishes him that God will take his side and will maintain peace in the kingdom. He compares his life with a cup of wine, and he wants to drink and taste all the aspects of life without leaving anything behind. He knows that the human life is too short for gaining knowledge. That's why Ulysses motivates his mariners or his warriors to set sail once again, as their will is stronger than before. They're heading westward to where the sun sets and will keep on sailing till they die. They would again live the life of uncertainty. They don't know what lands they may reach. Tennyson's Ulysses is a masterpiece of dramatic monologue and passes through the test of time.